Hello, all of you watching. My name is Jeffrey Wardropper. This is my first live, so if I make some mistakes, I don't give a damn. And what I want to do today is to show you where dads are messing up, especially dads who are working in corporate, and things you can do to improve. Now, obviously, it's going to be difficult for people to understand where they're going wrong if you haven't first assessed your life and had a look at all of the things that can be improved. So I run Wardropper Coaching. I specialize in helping fathers elevate themselves through leadership, through identity work, through fitness, and being better role models for their family, right? So through the father figure formula and coaching, we can work together and make this happen. Now, myself, I have a background in law, in corporate. I've always been in corporate, and I lost 100 pounds. I've been obese many times in my life, majority of my childhood, and that was just an absolute no-more for me. So what I did was I went through this long, arduous journey of leveling up, including moving abroad, leaving home, leaving comfort, and putting myself right into the deep end to make sure that I can be there for the future Jeffrey, who I am now, and now I teach men to do the same. So let's get started with why I think fathers are battling to ascend. And when I say ascend, I mean guys who are looking to level up, not just physically, but mentally, the way they show up for their families, the way they show up for themselves, the people that they care about, their circle. The list goes on. When you become better for you mentally, you become better for you physically, and you become better for those around you. So, lesson number 1, I have the good old whiteboard, and that's when you know things are getting serious, when I got the good old whiteboard. So I'm going to show you, firstly, where things are going wrong. Now, the mistake a lot of dads make is they don't sit and think to themselves, where am I fucking up? So I'm going to say a few things that might offend you. And you know what? I don't care. But it's not here to offend you. It's also here, if you can look through the sarcasm, and if you can look through some of the quotes and the weird way I phrase things, if you can look through all that, you'll realize that I'm actually here to help you. And so the thing is, this is what I often see with a lot of guys in the workplace. They forget who they are as people, right? So you might have been like a young person, right? You might have been a stud at high school. You might have played a lot of sports when you're growing up. And then somewhere along the line, life happens to you. So when life happens, a lot of guys are like, oh, I don't understand where I went wrong. I don't understand what's happened. I've gained like 10, 15 pounds. I don't have the energy. I'm not the man I used to be. I can't seem to move the way I used to move. My clothes don't fit, things like that. But there's all these little things that are creeping in where people could be a lot better, right? So the most important thing is to sit and think, okay, who do I want to be in like the next 5 to 10 years? Just always got to think of it like that. And then you got to work your way back. And then we can implement steps in order to do that. So where I see a lot of guys messing up, especially guys that are in corporate and are in the workplace, right? So we have the good old whiteboard, like I said. We have you over here, right? Now, I don't know if you can see that. Let me bring this closer. Okay, maybe you see it now. Hello to the people that joined. Okay, so we have you over here. I think I should have written that a different way. I've never done a whiteboard live before, so who knows. And let me work out the colors, because we always learn better with different colors. At least I do. Okay, we have you. Now you're a good guy, you're a good person. This isn't only guy specific. It can also just be for anyone. It can be for the ladies as well. But obviously I coach guys, so it's going to be guy specific. So we have you. Now you are a good, honest, loyal person. Okay? You're good to those around you. You're good to, I don't know, your animals, your pets. You're just a lovely person all around. And you know in your head that you deserve better, because why wouldn't you? Right? You've done the good things in life. You have treated people correctly, and now the only person you haven't treated correctly is yourself, okay? And you might have thought in the moment you were treating yourself correctly by, I don't know, going to eat out a couple of times a week, going to that restaurant, going to get fast food, maybe saying, I just deserve to watch some Netflix tonight. Like, these are all valid things. Like, this is not This is nothing to be ashamed about, okay? But in the process, we've gained weight, right? So we have a problem of weight. Man, I think I need better lights in this place. Okay, hang on. Let me try this out. Okay, no. Let's try this. You know, I may just have to stick with the black. And my writing is horrendous. Okay. So we have your weight. This is going to signal body weight, an arrow. Okay? Your body weight's gone up. Plus sign. You haven't been fitting in your clothes and things like that. Your confidence is low. These things all happen. Trust me, I was 100 pounds. I understand. It's 100 pounds of weight. I understand how this feels, right? And an important aspect you need to understand is, what are you doing in your life, right? So you might be sitting for 8 hours a day. You might have kids. And when your kids aren't finishing their meals, you are eating their leftovers because you don't want it to go to waste, because that's what happened when we were growing up. Your parents said to you, finish your plate. And that's what you did. You finished your plate. But in this process, you learn to stuff your face. Okay? Same thing happened in my household. Same thing. So you see your kids and you want to finish their plates. You might be in an office where, I got to speak carefully here. You may be in an office where they try their best to have health awareness, but then they have a big pantry where there's a lot of snacks and sweets and refreshments, right? But these refreshments will catch you, okay? Especially if you're sitting for 8 hours a day. So from my experience, there's always been an environment at work where people will bring donuts, people will bring, I don't know, sweets, treats, and there's nothing wrong with eating any of this. There's nothing wrong with eating any of this if you can control yourself and understand nutrition. The problem is a lot of people don't, and this is the thing. So you end up overeating, and then you think you can just go running and burning it off. So we have the problem of your weight going up, okay? Now we have the problem that you sit and work hard for 8 hours a day. So 8 hours. Okay, maybe not full on 8 hours, but you get the drift. So you have that. Now you have a kid at home, and I would know because she's 15 months today. Okay, so it's been a challenging 15 months, but I know this deeply. So now you have a kid at home. So now you're racing to get home because, as a good parent, you should be spending time with your kid. But what you're not understanding is that your kid needs you to have a lot of energy, and they don't give a damn. So if you're getting home after a long day's work, where you haven't been eating correctly, where your weight's gone up, where you're over-caffeinated, you're going to have a massive slump in the evening. This is exactly what I see all the time. And when it comes time to get to bed, your mind's going to be racing because you haven't got rid of some energy, right? So when you were young and you were a student and you needed to get rid of energy, it was easy. You played sports, you would see your friends, maybe you go clubbing on the weekend and you dance a lot, and you maybe drink a lot of alcohol, but you're dancing and you're burning it all off because you just have energy, and then you could sleep into like 11 because you were a student. But now you're a working adult. You're a father, you're a mother, and you're married, and you have a dog, and you got bills to pay, you're stressed, there's war going on that you're stressed about, and there's just, I don't know, a family member's died, like all these things just start piling on top of each other, right? So you got to start understanding, okay, how can I look after myself first so that I can be there for everyone else? So this is what's going to happen. First things first, you've got to get yourself to bed on time, okay? Because this is going to sound like very stupid, right? Because we relate bedtime to kids, and we've always done that. We're always like, okay, as a kid, you got to be in bed at like 8 o'clock, 9, I don't know, my household, I had to be in bed at friggin' 7 p.m. Parents were strict, okay? And if I tried to stay up late, they'd force me to watch 7:30 news, which was boring as shit for a young guy, and that would make me go to bed. Anyway, so you got to understand that bedtime doesn't only apply to children. The reason is, the later you go to bed, humans, okay, let me go back. Humans, we are awake and asleep most of the time with the sun. Now, you'll hear all these new studies where they say, oh, some people are not what's the term? Not birds. Someone help me out. Not I don't know what the term is. You know what I'm saying? Some people are like, they go to bed late and it's natural for them. But that's a load of hogwash. It's not. So we get up and go to sleep generally with the sun. So depending where you live, that might be like, I don't know, wake up at 6 a.m. and then you're in bed, depending where you live, when it gets a bit dark. So anyway, like in South Africa, the sun goes down at like 6 p.m. So traditionally, you'd be in bed fairly early. In Europe, the sun can go down in the summer at like 11 p.m. So I guess you stay up a bit later. But then winter is different. Anyway, so we can't really skip this. They have interesting studies that people who work night shift, they age quicker. And unfortunately, they have health complications because of it if they work prolonged night shifts. Also, people who are like air hostesses and flight attendants and stuff like that, they also age a bit differently because they're changing time zones all the time and our bodies aren't built for that. Okay, so sleep is not for kids. It's also for adults, super important. A few reasons. It resets everything, okay? If your sleep is not good enough, what's going to happen is your hunger hormone, which is ghrelin, is going to spark the next day. And this is what gets you guys a lot of the time, because you're like, I'm starving. You know why? Because you were up watching Netflix till like 1 in the morning, whatever, because you thought you needed some downtime. And that just kept on going, getting later and later and later, because that's what it will catch you. You must remember, social media, Netflix, all these things, they're all designed to keep you watching, right? So if you're not conscious that, I need to switch this thing off, you're just going to be in there, okay? So you get to bed late. Now you wake up the next morning, and first of all, you're convinced that your life is stressful and that you haven't got enough energy to do things, because you're tired, but you've overlooked the fact now that you've got to bed late. Your hunger hormone's going to be through the roof, but you're not going to have time to eat breakfast because you're going to be rushing. So you're going to race to get to the office, okay? I know all this. I've done this. You're going to race to get to the office. You're going to be in the office like a good person. You're going to think, I'm either going to get a coffee along the way or pick up a coffee and some sort of, I don't know, bagel, or Germany has bread buns, but wherever you're at, you might pick up a McDonald's breakfast. I forgot what they call it. It's been years since I got myself one of those. And you're going to get to the office. You're going to eat these things that aren't that nutritious. And then lunchtime's going to come and you're going to be starving. Now, if you assess your day, cortisol is high. You've hardly slept. Your ghrelin's up. You're racing around thinking your energy is now low and you're trying to factor in a way to get that back up. And then lunchtime comes and you're going to be friggin' starving. This is what happens all the time. I see this lunchtime problem. And in the office place, I also see people raiding the pantry because they're like, I just need something to get going. And they end up doing that, and they don't understand that like this is like creating a never-ending circle, like a devil's circle, right? So lunchtime comes, and unless you're consciously making a good decision here, you're going to fuck up. And the reason you're going to fuck up is because it's not even your fault. It's your hormones. When you haven't slept properly and your hunger hormones are up and your energy is feeling low and you feel like you need to pick yourself back up, you're going to probably go get something kind of heavy, right? You're going to, for example, I've made the mistake in the past of eating like a huge amount of pasta. So I haven't eaten breakfast properly. I've then waited till lunchtime. I've eaten like huge amount of pasta or like 6 slices of bread because I'm that hungry by that point, or whatever the case may be. And what happens is then you're going to get to the afternoon. You're going to be thinking, my energy's low. You're going to be falling asleep at your desk. I'm a big culprit of that. I've fallen asleep at my desk many times because I'd have an afternoon crash because I just ate a bunch of carbs at lunch. Not to demonize carbs, but you just got to know how to structure things. And you're going to feel down. Then what happens is, because you're in this dip, you're going to go to the pantry again, or you're going to race to have a coffee, or you're going to have a cigarette. The circle just keeps going. Then, instead of going to the gym or going to play sport after work, you go home. In your mind, now this is fair, in your mind you think, shit, it's been a long day. I've been racing. I've been doing everything I should have done. I've done my work. I've dropped the kids off at school. I made their lunch. I have I've kissed my wife goodbye. I've got, I've done everything I needed to do. And now you get home, maybe you have a dog, so maybe you walk the dog. And then after that, you're like, I'm done. And then you fall into this trap of like, I should do something. And then you don't end up doing it because you're just so like lethargic and you can't get yourself moving. And then evening comes, either your significant other has put food in front of you that you don't have any control over, or you've stopped on the way home from work to pick up something quick, or you have something that's not that healthy in your fridge already or your freezer that you can quickly whip together to have. You watch Netflix, and then the cycle repeats itself. So the first thing you got to understand is you got to identify and change your identity, right? So that's the first thing I did when I came to lose weight. I had to say to myself, I am not that guy anymore. I'm not that guy that makes shitty decisions. I'm not that guy that on the weekend drinks a case of beer, binge eats on chocolate. What else did I do? I'd skip workouts. I'm just running you through all the things I used to do. What else would I do? I do all the traditional things that would make you gain weight. I'd go to bed late. I'd go out and eat burgers too many times. I would, I'd drink too much. Yeah, everything I did it, okay? And because I was obese all my life, pretty much, I had a huge appetite and my stomach was really, really big from eating till I was full all the time. And that's something that you don't want to get into the habit of doing because your stomach stretches over time. But anyway, that's another thing. So then what I did was I shifted my identity. And the way you shift your identity is you got to decide who the fuck you are before you become that person. So you have to make an active decision. You have to sit and think, am I this fatty that's going to continue going down this trend of, getting a heart attack by 45? Or am I going to turn into somebody who is a weapon, who is lean all the time, who feels great on holiday, who has a family, looks great in pictures, who doesn't only look great in pictures and all of those things, but when you're home, you're able to be present, you're able to have energy to play with your kids. Like right now, my daughter, she's 15 months today. And when I'm home, we running, we at the playground, we're going to swimming all the time. We're going to gymnastics. We at all these different groups. I'm not stopping. I'm doing this live right now. It's late. Okay. I'm doing this live right now. It's 9 p.m. where I am in Germany. And then I'm going to the living room where she is, and I'm going to make sure that I get the last bit of energy out of her, and that means I'm chasing her around the flat until bedtime. That's what I'm doing. Old Jeff wouldn't have been able to do that. Old Jeff would have just sat watching Netflix all the time. Old Jeff would have said, I'm not interested in doing that, right? I could barely take my dog for a walk before because I was lazy. Not my current dog, but my dog in South Africa that I had when I was fat, right? So this is the thing. You have to decide as a person, am I now in my mid-30s going to become a lethal weapon, or am I going to ignore all of these signs that my body is giving me and just like keep going down this trend towards having a early heart attack? Now, I know, guys, growing up, I used to be very observant, and I would watch the older people like my parents, their friends that they had, things like that. People were getting heart attacks at 45, 50, 55. And I would often think to myself, how's this happening? How's this possible? Like, what is going on here? And then everyone would say, we don't know where that came from. I don't know how that happened. That he died young. That took us all by surprise. And in my head, I was like, how are the adults not understanding that, like, Uncle Joe over here was drinking every weekend? I always saw a cigarette in his hand. I never saw him eat a salad, okay? I also used to never eat salads, by the way. And then he dies at 45 with a heart attack, and you're like, how? Because he never decided to become this person, right? And when I'd say to Uncle Joe, why don't you drink a little bit less? He's like, I can't. I've been doing this for years. So there already, he's decided he can't, right? But that doesn't have to be you. The decisions you do today in your late 20s, early 30s will impact the decisions and the way your life looks at 45, 55, 65. I'm planning to live to like 90. They're going to have to come put me in the ground the good Lord himself, because I'm taking care of myself so I can be around as long as I can. And those habits start now when you're younger than when you're older. Okay? So you got to understand that's step one, your identity. Step two, once you decide who you're going to be, you got to think about what are the decisions I need to make on the day-to-day to get to that outcome. Now, a lot of people focus on the goal, the end goal. They're like, I want to have abs. Okay, so I want to be lean, or I have this trip coming up and, I just want to lose some weight. And they think of that end goal. Now, it's good to think of the end goal, but what these people don't focus on is the steps that gets them there. So when I was losing 100 pounds, I never thought about the steps. I never thought about the 100-pound weight loss, for example. I thought about, okay, how do I break this down every single day? What things do I need to do now that a guy who has lost 100 pounds does every single day? I would look at people online who are living these fantastic lives, and I'm like, okay, let me try and break down what that person does every single day, or get a good idea of what that person does so that he can afford that lifestyle in terms of not financial, but in terms of the way that that person can maintain their look, can maintain their health. And the thing is, it's always going to be slightly more boring than what you think, right? You might see someone online, they highlight reel eating nice food. You might see somebody have cool training videos. So you might think when you go to the gym, you're going to be busting all these different types of workouts that are like amazing and look cool on social media, that have like these cool, you might think I need to do high rocks now. That's a big thing. Nothing against high rocks, but you might think I need to do high rocks now because I saw a bunch of people doing it and they look cool. Or you might think like I need to do some CrossFit because I saw a bunch of people doing it and it looks cool. And all these things are cool. I encourage you to do it if it's going to make you exercise. The thing is though, a lot of these people that have like really great physiques, they've been doing a ton of boring shit for a very long time, and now maybe you do high rocks and CrossFit and do all these cool workouts, but behind all the scenes, they're doing regular, boring workouts for 6 months to a year straight. I know, because I do it, okay? And then now I was able to do a half marathon on the weekend, and now that looks cool, maybe, but that only happens because I've been doing a whole bunch of boring shit this whole time, right? So you got to understand where you want to go, and you got to understand the things that you have to do every single day to get you there. Remember not to focus on the goal specifically, but to focus on the day, tasks, and then you'll end up getting to the goal. So that's the whole mentality, mindset, identity shifting. And you got to do whatever you got to do to keep you motivated. And I always say motivation is fleeting and discipline is what's going to get you there. And so I'd rather be disciplined than motivated. I only want to be in the gym 20% of the time. I only want to eat healthy 20% of the time because my fat ass still wants to eat fast food all the time. But I've told myself I'm not that guy anymore, so I don't do that, okay? So, next thing now we can get into. Hang on. So that's bed and body weight and you, okay? Anyway, I hope you guys can hear me okay. I'm just using my iPhone. And a ring light. You can see this shitty ring light over here. I don't know where I'm pointing. There. Okay, there. So, nutrition. Okay, that's a big one. Most of you guys and ladies are going to get your results without going to the gym, without doing anything else specific other than focusing on nutrition. Some people, right, don't want to have a bunch of muscle and have this crazy physique, and that's pretty cool. I wish I was like that. I would just go about my life gardening or something like that, but my head can't let me do that. Anyway, some people are totally happy with not doing that. So all you need to do is still have some treats here and there and have a structured week. But a lot of the time, people just need to hone in on nutrition a little bit, and you can lose like 5, 10, 15 kilos just on that alone. Actually, when I moved abroad to Europe and I was really fat, the first 10 kilos I lost, I hadn't joined a gym. All that happened was I started walking a bunch and I had to eat healthy because I couldn't eat that much and I was staying with family friends and I ate what they ate and they were in a phase where they were eating healthy, so I just ate that and I lost a bunch of weight. I didn't even exercise. Okay, I didn't even do a push-up. So what you're going to do with nutrition is, it's fairly simple. There's a few guys on this call. I already know you know this. But for the others that don't, it's fairly simple. The most important thing, okay? Hope you can see this. My handwriting is shit. Don't really care. I think I need to be writing like backwards. I don't know how people do the whiteboard thing. I need to learn how to do that. Anyway, first, most important thing is protein. I'm not talking about friggin' cold meats and KFC. We all know what good protein is. Like, we know it. Like, people come to me in 2026 asking me for protein sources, and I'm like, brother, we have Google, we have ChatGPT that you message, that you yourself are checking out holiday venues with. You're using it for everything else other than to figure out where a good protein source is. So, you know it. Okay, chicken, beef, as much beef as you can, guys. Don't worry about what they say about red meat. Beef is awesome. Eggs, friggin' tuna, if you don't mind eating mercury and all these things, if you can't get fresh caught shit. But anyway, I'd rather you eat that than KFC. Anyway, protein, 1 to 2 grams per pound of body weight. So what does that look like? If I am 100 kilos, I'm eating 200 grams of protein, roughly. Okay, 220, sorry. Around there. Doesn't really matter. When it comes to a certain point, doesn't really get past there. Okay, so you're going to keep your protein high every meal. A mindset shift I make. If you are a guy, you should be getting like 30 grams of protein per meal. If you don't know how to do that, download my fitness pal, go to the free version. You may have to have a whole bunch of ads that pop up when you're tracking your food, but you know what? It's free, so just do it, okay? Or message me. I'll help you. Anyway, 30 grams minimum for guys. Ladies, a little bit less if you want to, but you don't have to. My wife, she eats more protein than I do sometimes, and she's like 57 kilos, 56. So high protein. I think to myself when I approach a meal, where's my protein? I'm not thinking about anything else when I come to a meal. Breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner, dessert. Even my desserts, I'm like, is there protein in this thing? Am I having yogurt? Am I whipping some yogurt up with my homemade ice cream to beef up the protein? Am I adding some protein powder in? Like, I'm doing all sorts of things to get my protein. I'm hustling. No one ever accidentally hit their protein demands, okay? Like, this is a second job. It's a second job. But protein is what's going to give you the longevity, one, to feel great, to live longer, and you're going to bypass, to a degree, muscle loss as you age. Okay, we're all going to have muscle loss, but you're going to really slow that guy down alongside lifting weights. So, think to yourself, where is my protein with each meal? Make it your job. It's your job now. Remember what I said about identity. You are this person. I'm this person now that hunts protein, okay? This is how you're going to attack it. You're not going to accidentally just have a chicken breast fall into your mouth. You got to put a steak there. You got to put a chicken breast there. You got to do these things, okay? The egg doesn't boil by itself. You got to crack it. You got to do it, okay? So protein. Now, carbs. There are no essential carbohydrates. I'm going to say this again. There are no essential carbohydrates. I don't bash carbs, okay? But you get essential amino acids, which is proteins, and then you get essential fats, which comes from healthy fat sources. But carbs are the one thing where you can be like, depending on your activity levels, it can either be higher, it can be lower, okay? So out of the three, protein, carbs, and fats, I have it as protein, fats, and then carbs last. So I should have probably got to carbs last, and I bypassed fats. Okay, I'm going to get onto fats. So you're going to have protein. I already said carbs. Carbs are not that essential. The thing is, they are everywhere. Okay, and now we live in this world where people are just throwing carbs at you. Every restaurant, they're throwing bread at you on the table. I'm that guy that will not eat the bread on the table because I don't need that additional carbs. Okay, I'm not that guy who's at the table and they chuck extra rice at you. I won't eat it if I already haven't factored it in, okay? So just because people put stuff in front of you, which will more than likely be carbs, doesn't mean you have to eat it, okay? Carbs you should only use depending on your activity levels. So there's a set amount you can have every day, and if you are running a marathon, definitely eat more carbs. If you're sitting around on your desk all day, I would bypass the carbs and go protein and fats. Okay, so these, hope you can see that. Okay, these are the two most important things: protein, fats. Fats you need for your hormones. It's important for guys, keeps your testosterone up. It's important for the ladies as well, with the ladies' hormones. Okay, so the thing with fats are, you have to be careful. Fats have a lot of calories. So carbs and protein have per gram less calories than fats. Okay, fats have 9 calories per gram. That's a lot. So if you aren't careful and you put a bit too much oil and stuff in, you can easily go over your calories for the day. Which is why, in addition to having all of your nutrition bases covered, you should be tracking calories. Okay? There's so many trackers. I know you don't want to track calories because maybe it's going to give you some sort of, I don't know, unhealthy relationship with eating food. These are things that I hear. Okay? Now, I understand for some people that may be the case. But then you need to sit and come up with a sort of meal plan for yourself that you can follow, because there has to be a way that you can monitor what you're putting into your body, especially if you're someone who is not happy with their appearance. Okay? In order for something to change, something has to change. And that means you have to do stuff sometimes maybe that you're not too comfortable with. So even at the very least, if you just track protein, that should sort a lot of you out. Okay? So you need to track and make sure that you're within calories. Again, if you're struggling with this, message me. I'll help you out with this. Okay. And you do this for every single day of the week. You have to be consistent. If you track Monday to Friday and the weekend you just living free, wild and free, like you're in your 20s, of course you're not going to make progress. Of course. Because you can't account for the stuff you did on the weekend, even though you're perfect during the week. And the reason why a lot of people don't want to track calories because they think that they're going to get a bad relationship with food is because tracking calories is brutal. I had a client who I onboarded 2 weeks ago. He hadn't used MyFitnessPal for quite a while, and he said to me, I've been really overestimating or underestimating the amount of food that I'm eating now that I'm tracking again. His measurements were completely off, and no wonder he had gained some weight, right? Because now he hadn't had a chance to actually assess what he's been doing. And now that we're tracking calories again and we're monitoring his nutrition, he's like, oh yeah, shit, no wonder I haven't been hitting the targets I want to hit. I've just been eyeballing stuff. So we all need to track some calories at least for a period of 6 months. Okay, you got to do it for a period of time. You just got to do it, or work with a coach or somebody that can help you come up with a meal plan where they've already tracked stuff for you in the background and just give you a bunch of options to eat. I do that too with my clients sometimes. I just give them a bunch of options to eat from this restaurant, from this shopping mall, from this, grocery store. Just go get those things for the week. Okay, so that's what you got to do. Now, that's nutrition. Okay. Sorry, I gotta whip out the spray. Goodness me. Either that or I'm firing this whiteboard. Okay? I got this whiteboard and I thought to myself this was a good one. But this thing is giving me nothing but problems sometimes. So I'm gonna give this thing a boot. If anyone's got any recommendations on a whiteboard, let me know. I got this thing off Amazon, but it was quite some time ago. Who knows? Okay, next thing is this red is shit. Don't know if you can see that. Anyway, it says movement. Okay. Next thing is movement. Once you've got your bedtime routine down, sleep is the most important thing. Once you've got your sleep down, once you've got your identity work done, who you decide who you're going to be, that's 2. Once you've got your nutrition down, so that's 3. Now we talk about movement. Notice how I'm not talking about even getting to the gym yet. Okay, that's not even the most important thing. I've spoken about sleep, I've spoken about mentality, I've spoken about nutrition, and only now I'm talking about movement. I haven't touched gym. Okay, so a lot of people are thinking, what must I do about my gym? Okay, don't worry about gym for now, right? You can do a lot of these things without gym. Movement. Now, we already discussed. The problem is you're not moving enough. Now, you might be working at a desk, and yeah, I get it. Some environments are not set up for you to be able to move a lot, okay? But there are little things you can do. So, for example, in my corporate role, I have a stand-up desk, okay? So you can put that stand-up desk up and you can stand for a bit. Now, it's not really a bunch of movement, but it's better than sitting all the time, because what's going to happen is when you sit all the time, unless your ergonomics aren't correct, which is the way you're set up, like your desk height to your desk chair, all these sort of things, unless that's not correct, you're going to start getting a lot of pain in your shoulder, in your glutes, your sciatica, lower back, just from having bad posture sitting all day. So at the very least, if you have a stand-up desk, just stand, because then you at least get some correct posture, and it's not going to carry over into other areas of your life. Because I'll touch on this a bit later, but basically a lot of guys, they sit all day and then they get tight areas, and then they have to go to the chiropractor, and they can't go to the gym because now their whole body is breaking down, because essentially they're always sitting and they never stand and stretch out. Okay, you got to stretch. We are not designed to sit all the time. If you look in the tribal countries, if you look at the nomads, they did a study on this as well. I'm just going to throw this in there. Okay, the nomads, people that live in the wild, whatever. Those guys, they don't necessarily move or walk much more than what we do. What they do though is they have a lot of little movements. So I can't remember which tribe it was, but when I'm talking about when they're in the village, not when they're out hunting and getting food, which can last for days. I'm talking about when they're chilling in their village, okay? They are sitting a lot. But the reason they don't have bad posture and stuff is because they get up frequently from one spot to another. So maybe I can talk like this because I'm black, okay? So I can talk like this, and I'm from South Africa. So maybe they have a hut, okay? And maybe a family member's chilling by one hut, and the others are chilling by another hut. So what they showed was in the study was that they're getting up a lot, going and talking to each other. They don't have cell phones. They can't just be ringing people up saying, hey, what we do on the weekend. No, you'd have to physically get up and go speak to your auntie, or go speak to your grandpa who's old, or go get water. So my point is, they were getting up a lot in the day and just moving around a lot in a small area, even though they're also sitting a lot. So it's these little acts of getting up and moving around that can help you in the long term. So movement is underrated, okay? And if you're in a corporate role, the very least you can do is get up, walk to the coffee machine, stretch out, go onto the balcony if you have an office balcony, go downstairs and get some fresh air. The thing is, a lot of people who smoke cigarettes, they find all the time to go have a 10-minute cigarette break outside every hour or so, and you are thinking that you need to be at your desk all the time and that you can't afford to get up and go have a cigarette break. These people who smoke cigarettes, they are the most committed to their cause, and you are being outworked by people who are committed to smoking cigarettes because you think you can't get up and just take a break. Okay, take a 10-minute break every hour. You're not going to get fired, I promise you. Better yet, what I do, lunchtime, is when I go for a walk. Instead of ordering food, or whatever the case may be, depending where you work, I walk to the closest grocery store. And I get some food. I can pick up some chicken. I stretch my legs. I have other colleagues that do the same, okay? When I'm working from home and I'm working many hours, I'm sitting in this chair over here, and I get up. Like I say, during the day, I take the dog out, I walk with my daughter, I'm at the playground in between stuff, okay? Like, you have gaps in between your meetings. Don't act like you're a CEO here of BlackRock, okay? This is not the case. So the thing is, you got to move every single day and you got to factor that in. Amazon even makes it really easy. You can get these little walking pads that you can fit under your desk. You can even take it to the office. It might look a bit strange. Like if I had to do that, my colleagues would probably think I'm a bit strange. But you know what? Who cares? You can fold it up and have it nicely in your home as well. Like, I get it. Some people in South Africa, or if you stay in a third world country, it's dangerous to walk on these streets. I understand. So then you got to figure out other ways to get some movement in. Okay? So that's the number one thing. And you got to identify as this person that gets a lot of movement. Because if you don't, then you're always going to be a couch potato. Growing up, they always said, don't be a couch potato. And it's funny because the people that say don't be a couch potato are the couch potatoes. Anyway, so yeah. Yeah, make sure you move. It's not as complicated as it has to be. Movement can be doing the garden. It can be cycling to work. It can be going for a 10-minute walk around the block. Interesting fact as well, for those people that want to understand like diabetes, they were shown that people who walk 10 minutes after every meal, the effect of glucose and on their system and insulin was way more than diabetics, much better than the medication diabetics take to regulate the insulin. So just walking is epic. Another thing I do to get extra steps in and just be walking is like if I go to a restaurant and let's just say we eat dinner, I will leave. When we're leaving now after eating dinner, I will walk like, 5 minutes up the road and then 5 minutes back to my car. And that's a 10-minute digestion walk after eating. And I think that is easy. If you look forward enough, you can find opportunities to go for a 10-minute walk. You don't need any more than bursts of 10-minute walks. I've done it to the point where I've put it in my calendar where I will get up after X amount of time and get 10-minute walks. Or like I said, at lunchtime, I'll do one big walk and then maybe a walk in the evening. Now, this cool thing about walking is that it's like low-hanging fruit, right? And you get to bond. So often before we had our baby, my wife and I would just go for evening walks. Even if we had a argument, we don't really argue, but let's just say if we had a disagreement, we've never had an argument, gone for a walk, come back and have that argument still present. Okay, usually something to do with the walking and the way our bodies work and our brains. Usually by the time we've got back from our walk, we've resolved the issue just because we can both think clearly and get fresh air and hash it out and talk. So walking is even awesome for that. Just, I would say, like handling issues or thinking through things. Okay, so make sure that you walk. It's low-hanging fruit. And it's really the most simple thing you can do. There's no impact on your body. We're designed to move. Humans are designed to move. We're not designed to sit. Okay, we're one of the few animals, and yes, we are animals. We're one of the few animals that can cover large distances without getting tired. Like no other animal really can do this. Maybe a camel. Okay, but camels are quite quick. But most animals can't do this. But humans, we can. Most animals have to go quick bursts. They have fast twitch muscle fibers. They have to go quick bursts and then they stop and they need to rest. And then they have to go quick bursts, which is why in Africa, I'm going to tie it back, which is why in Africa, the hunter-gatherers, one of their techniques of how they catch an animal is just basically tiring the animal out by chasing it for like 2 days straight. Because us humans can do that. And other animals can't. Your dog can't. Your dog can sprint and then it will need to sleep. I know, I have a dog. I run with her. Okay, every time we do a run together, she's got all the energy and then she needs to have like a 3-hour nap afterwards. Humans, we can keep going at a slow pace. So we're not designed just to sit all day. Make sure to walk. It's an easy thing to do. And yeah, guys, just phone your loved ones. Okay, so that's movement. Now, part of movement is, of course, let me just get out this other color. My favorite color used to be green. Somewhere along the line, it changed to red. Don't know why. Okay. Then finally, we get to the big old gym. Now, gym, it doesn't have to be gym, right? You can have home workouts. You can do your favorite sport. I know old people that, like I say, I always refer to gardening because I grew up watching old people garden all the time and they were never fat a day in their lives, okay? Because they just were out in the garden all the time, gardening, burning calories, getting sunlight. Important, get some sunlight. So, when I say gym, you can use this as a term. It can be any sport or activity you like. I use gym because I go to gym, okay? Because I'm in the business of building my body and trying to prevent the side effects of aging, which is basically you withering away. And the best way to do that is to keep your muscle mass intact. Okay, so first of all, you don't have to go to gym every day. I would know. I used to go to gym when I was younger 7 days a week because I was a student. I had my testosterone going through the roof. I thought I was invincible. I was playing rugby. I was doing all this shit. I was still fat, okay? I was still fat. And that was me going to the gym all the time. It clearly didn't help because I didn't have my nutrition down and all these other things. You can't outwork a bad diet. You can't do any of these things. Okay, so you can understand this. And I think Corona should have, drummed this into your heads. Because there were people during Corona who got into the best shape of their lives with no gym equipment, okay? I always say, you should be able to, if you want it bad enough, you should be able to lock yourself in a room with no equipment. Just you yourself in the air and do body weight exercises and maybe eat once or twice a day. You'll get in shape. Okay, people overcomplicate this gym thing, maybe because they watch their favorite bodybuilder or their favorite influencer or someone, or, you were like me who grew up watching Arnold, Sylvester Stallone, all these guys who were in insane shape. Those guys spent a lot of quality time in the gym, right? Okay, but even they had rest. So the gym isn't all what you think it is. You only need about 3 to 4 sessions. You can even get away with 2 sessions if they are super intense, focused, full body sessions. But I don't think most people that aren't experienced can get that right. You got to go into some dark place in your head to be able to fully fuel yourself. But 3 to 4 sessions a week, an hour each, that's it. I used to train 7 times a week, okay, no rest. Once I did a challenge, I even said I want to see how many months I can go training 7 days a week for. I think I did like 8 weeks of that and then I burnt the fuck out. So don't do that. And then people say, oh, but I burn out when I go to training all the time. Yeah, because you're trying to go like 5-6 times a week and it's not sustainable for you. You've got to do what's sustainable for you. That's the only way you can do it long term. That's like with anything in life. It has to be sustainable for you. So 3 to 4 sessions a week, and it has to be focused on the stuff that you can get biggest bang for your buck. So if you're someone who doesn't have any injuries, any niggles, it's like that. Like I've got a client, he's got a disc disease in his back. Okay, so that means we had to be really careful, like with the exercise selection for what he could do. Now he's at a point after like a year of training where we were able to get all of his muscles surrounding his spine to be super strong. So now he's pretty much doing every exercise that one can do. It's not holding him back, but we had to be careful. But anyway, if you are somebody who does not have any injuries or anything like that, and you're able-bodied and you can, and the world is your oyster, then what I'll say is learn how to do bench, squat, and deadlift. Now, it's a very tricky thing. Obviously, I have a bit of bias because I come from a powerlifting background and rugby background where we did all these power moves, okay? So I have a bit of bias towards that, but I'm not married to it, okay? So the thing is, if you need to use some machines because you don't feel safe deadlifting, for example, like that's fair enough. Then you can make some alterations. But you need to find the exercises where it tires you out the most for each body part, okay? What I recommend you do is you do a full body session 3 times a week for most people. That will like really do well. And for example, if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of time, okay, today I'm doing full body, I'm taking a rest day, Then I'm doing full body, taking a rest or 2 rest days, and then I'm finishing off the week by doing another full body. So what that means is you'll go to the gym and train literally your full body. And I'm not saying you do like 20 million exercises. Full body is you'll pick an exercise for your legs, for example, like a leg press. You'll pick an exercise for the back of your legs, for example, like a leg curl. You'll do something for your shoulders. You'll do something for your chest. You'll do something for pretty much 1 or 2 exercises for each body part, and you rotate those exercises. If you need help, again, message me. I can help you. And so you don't need to overcomplicate it. And then what you need to do is track the weights you do, right? So I have a gym book, a gym diary. You can do it on your phone. There's apps for it. I mean, it's really easy, okay? And you progress all your lifts. And the only way you know what your lifts are is if you are tracking them every single week in, week out. Nothing crazy. You just got to look at your book and say, okay, did I lift more this week than last week? Okay, that's the most basic way to do it. It obviously gets more complicated than that. But for the average basic human being who just wants to be fit, that's all you need to worry is, did I lift more weight this week? Did I do 1 extra rep? Was I able to squeeze out 1 extra set? When I did the exercise, did it move better? Did I maintain better posture while I was doing it? Like, these are all things that help you progress in the gym, okay? So alongside the sleep, alongside the nutrition, alongside the mentality. Guys, when you go to the gym, this mentality is the same thing, right? Like, you can't go in the gym and be like, whoop-de-doop-de-doop-de-doo. Oh, I'm just going to be here and do this little thing because my program says I need to do it. Whoop-de-doop-de-doo. No. You've got to attack. You've got to attack. It's got to be an all-out war, okay? War dropper. War is in my name. That's cliche. I get that. But it's got to be all-out attack mode for 40 minutes. Now, I'm not talking about lifting with bad form. I'm talking about grinding and getting that weight up, doing everything you can within your limits so that you don't get injured, of course. Okay? So if you are doing a weight for 10 reps and in your head you're like, I think 11 is there. If you even think it's there, you should be going for it, okay? Because then what I will say next is you should be going for rep 12. And then rep 12 should be a grind and you probably shouldn't get it. And that's when you know, okay, I gave my all on that exercise. You can't go to the gym going, whoop-de-doo, I'm just here to drink a frappuccino after my workout, okay? That's nonsense. You're never going to get your physique to change that way. I'll go into on another live why your physique does what your physique does in terms of like how you have to progress things in order to change it, because you reach a point of homeostasis where your body wants to stay at this equal level and you've got to start playing tricks on it to get it to progress. Okay, our bodies are clever. So you got to attack gym. And then lastly, and I say this with a lot of love, lastly, a lot of you guys could do with some cardio, okay? So you don't have to do the most. I think you have to do, from what I understand from studies and things like that. Actually, not what I understand, well, from what I fucking know. I don't know why I said it like that. From what I know. So 3 times a week. The reason I said why I understand is because I got to think about the normal person. People in my circle and stuff, we are doing, you have to hold us back. Okay, we want to do too much of everything. So what you want to do is do cardio 3 times a week. Now you can throw this at the end of your workouts, but what is better from what the research says and from what I've experienced is if you can do your cardio on a separate day. Now, when you get really good and really conditioned, of course you can do like however you want. Like there are guys that will lift weights in the morning and do cardio in the evening. There are guys who will do cardio in the morning, lift weights in the evening. There are guys who will lift weights and then do cardio directly after. I currently have to do that because I don't have much time in the day. So I have to fit it in that way because I'm at the gym anyway. I might as well just do some cardio. Okay, so cardio is for your heart. It's not so much for fat loss, although it helps with fat loss. But it's mainly for your heart and your aerobic base. That's important. There are skiers who have a high VO2 max. For those of you that don't know what VO2 max is, it's basically the amount of oxygen that your blood can carry in an aerobic when you're doing cardio, essentially. So the fitter, like marathon runners and all these guys that have high VO2 max, okay, it shows you how fit they are, essentially, this number. And guys who do skiing and all these things, they have high VO2 max, and that's also correlated to living longer in your life. So grip strength, muscle, keeping your muscle and having a high VO2 max, these are things that are going to keep you alive for longer, okay? So don't neglect cardio. I, as a fat power lifter, used to think if I lifted 10 reps in an exercise, that was cardio, okay? Guys will know. There are guys on this call that know me from my powerlifting days. They'll know I was not doing cardio. And you know what? I think I took years off of my life from that. I pushed my body weight up, I pushed my strength up, and I didn't do any cardio. And now I feel like I'm playing catch up to like regain some of that back, okay? But luckily I was in my 20s, so hopefully that 20-year, when you're in your 20s, you can bounce back. So hopefully I didn't do too much damage, but I feel like I did. So make sure to do some cardio, and that will help you. That's going to actually be the biggest bang for your buck when it comes to like playing with your kids, because these little kids, they have energy for days. And if you are outside and you can't keep up with your kid, okay, the kids are awesome because you can only hide who you are for so long and they'll start to figure you out. And you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that dad where your kid is making excuses for you. And I've seen it. It's happened where a kid will be at like a school playground or whatever, or maybe it's athletics day. And they'll say, okay, it's the dad race now. And then you'll see some kids make like excuses for their dad. Oh, my dad, my dad's got this, my dad's got that, my dad can't do that, my dad would. Your kid shouldn't be making excuses for you. They shouldn't. You should be getting up and entering the dad race. When my daughter, I don't know in Germany how it is, but when a dad race comes, I'm prepared. I may not win that race, but I'm prepared to enter that race and run my ass off and make sure that my daughter is watching her dad do that. Now, these are all things that you might not think are so important, okay? But these are all little things that play on my mind, because when I was growing up, I didn't have a dad that would run and play with me and things like that, right? And a part of me, even though my dad was fantastic, parts of me wishes I had that too, okay? And so with my daughter, I'm going to make sure that I am able to be moving around with her, because, I did this half marathon yesterday, and there was this dad. He was running with his teenage daughter. They passed me. Of course they passed me because I was so freaking slow. Anyway, they passed me, and I thought that was so cool. And as they were passing me, they like waved and encouraged me on because I was cramping. I was dying. But anyway, and I thought that was so cool. It looked like it was her first time. She must have been around 12 years old or so. I wouldn't say she was older than 12. And dad was running with her, and they were just chatting the whole way for the whole half marathon. And it looked like it was her first half marathon, and dad was doing it with her to like introduce her to like running and doing these larger distances. And she and dad looked like they were having an epic morning together, just chatting. And I thought to myself, now imagine if I let myself go and I could never do something like that with my daughter. Like, that would break my heart. Like, my daughter would be making an excuse for me, saying, oh, we would do this half marathon, but dad said he's old, and dad can't really do that anymore. And dad said he used to do that stuff. He used to play sports, but now he works hard and he comes home and he's old, and I can't do it. Sorry. No, that's bullshit. Okay? We need to do better as fathers. We need to be there with our kids. We need to be there with our daughters. We need to be there with our sons, and we need to be present. And I'm not talking about being present in terms of sitting, watching TV while they sit and play on the floor next to you. That is spending time, yes, but that is quantity. I'm talking about spending quality time. Quality time is you and your child and your wife, whoever, you are actively engaged in an activity together where you are doing something, okay, where you are being constructive. You're not just chilling, okay? So we got to make sure that we're able to do all that. And now, to round this all up, we are going to get that by, again, getting to bed on time, nutrition, identity work, deciding, I am this guy who's going to be a role model, who's going to be there ready to help my family, to lead them forward, to take the charge. If you have any red blood in you, you will know what I'm talking about, okay? We're going to keep strong by lifting weights. Make sure that our body and all these things and our muscles are preserved as we age. You don't want to be that guy that's falling down, breaking their hip. Most people that break their hip, they're done. I'm just telling you, most old people, when they break their hip, they are done. There's another study on that to show that there's like a specific amount of time between breaking the hip to the time that they pass away, and they can directly correlate their downward fall from when they broke their hip. So let me tell you something quickly. Obviously, I got youth on my side, but I was on my bike and this car swerved and I went way over the handlebars and I fell off my bike. I hit the pavement. Boom. Yeah, boom. I got up. I didn't even have a scratch. I didn't even have a bruise. It's like I just bounced off the pavement. And it did, like I had no pain the next day. And I hit my hip hard onto the ground. Like I felt my hip, boom, hit the ground. And guess what? I didn't have anything because I just feel like maybe I have a lot of protection around my hips and stuff from all like the deadlifting and all the squats and stuff that I do. Like I feel like I'm not invincible. I know I'm not invincible before anyone says Jeff's claiming to be invincible. I'm just saying that the impact didn't do anything to me. Maybe I was lucky, fair enough. But my point is, if I was a lot older and I was frail and I wasn't looking after myself, if it was my mom, that's tickets. She's gone. She's done. She's done, okay? My mom would be done because she has never looked after herself, unfortunately, for her whole life. Okay, so it's very sad, and yeah, it's one of those things. Anyway, so looking after your muscle mass is important. Also, it's going to be a lot easier for you to keep weight off the more muscle you have, because you are creating this like furnace where you're burning calories just for chilling. Okay, so it's worth the investment to put time into building muscle. And then the last thing is your aerobic base. You don't want to be gassed walking up the stairs. You don't want to be gassed when you're on holiday, when you're swimming a lap in the pool with your kids. Like I said, when I go on holiday with my daughter, I'm tossing her in the water. I'm doing somersaults with her. I'm chasing her on the beach. I'm going to be doing everything. And I'm not going to be out of breath once. I'm not going to be cracking a sweat once, okay? Because I do my cardio. So do your cardio. Also, this is going to be a bit crude. But, okay, it's going to be a bit crude. If there's any ladies on here, I apologize. But if you have good cardio, okay, that means you're going to have good cardio in the bedroom. That means you're going to have a happy wife, okay? Do not underestimate this. That's all I'm saying on this. That's all I'm saying. But it correlates to everything, okay? So that brings a close to today. I've had a lovely time. Thank you for those that have joined. So Leon says cardio was walking to the water. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, thanks for those that joined. I appreciate you all. This comes to the end of this live. Don't know how long it's been. I got carried away, as I do. I will do some more on some other topics. You can also message me what topics you want me to talk about in terms of health and fitness, in terms of leadership as a father, in terms of identity work, like mental identity work, in terms of what it took for me to lose 100 pounds and sort of how that can help you. Like anything along leveling up, ascending, then you just let me know. Or it can even be about corporate roles. So obviously I run Wardroper Coaching, and I'm also still in my own corporate role. I'm a qualified lawyer, for those of you that don't know. And so I understand intimately what most guys are going through, because I'm living like multiple lives. I'm in corporate, I'm running my business, I'm a dad to a 15-month-old. I have a dog, I have family members, I have responsibilities. If you tell me a scenario, I guarantee you I've experienced something similar, okay? Because now I'm just been doing that much in my life and I have that much going on. So if you just want to connect and then tell me about your struggles and look at ways to improve. Because don't come at me with your struggles if you're not going to be ready to find a solution. I'm solution orientated. Okay, I'm not here to whine and nag and just hear that. So come at me with your struggles, but then we're going to discuss solutions. And that's how I run things. Okay, thank you for joining. I don't know how to end this thing, but I'm going to end it now. And peace, my people. Much love.